The United States Department of Justice, under former President Obama, largely gave the states a free hand in developing their own medical marijuana systems. Medical marijuana law provides a unique interplay between state and federal law, and one that is constantly changing. Now, under President Trump, the way the Department of Justice approaches this interplay will almost certainly change. Marijuana, medical or otherwise, remains a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substances Act. Under that act, Schedule I drug means that there is no legitimate medical usage for it. In the United States Supreme Court case Gonzalez v. Reich, the court found that states may not permit what federal law prohibits. With federal law clearly forbidding marijuana in any form, the question is then, how can states permit it? The answer comes from two separate sources of federal law. One, the Cole Memorandum, and two, the Continuing Appropriations Act. The Cole Memorandum was a memo issued by the Obama administration's Department of Justice. It told the American public that the Department of Justice would not prosecute state legal medical marijuana dispensaries and patients. It was a general statement of the administration's prosecutorial priorities. It was not law. However, it had a wide impact on how states, businesses, and individuals approached medical marijuana. In its wake, more and more states started to implement medical marijuana legal schemes. There are now 28 states with legal medical marijuana. These businesses and patients, and states, have largely been relying on the Cole Memo in their decision to push forward. The Continuing Appropriations Acts. In 2014, 2015, and 2016, Congress passed Continuing Appropriations Acts to fund the Department of Justice, as it always does. However, these acts contained clauses withholding funds from the Department of Justice to prevent the Department of Justice from interfering with state medical marijuana laws. This clause is sometimes referred to as the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment. The amendment states that none of the funds made available in this act to the Department of Justice may be used, with respect to any specific United States state, to prevent any of them from implementing their own laws that authorize the use, distribution, possession, or cultivation of medical marijuana. These states and territories, or the medical marijuana states, have passed laws authorizing patients to receive medical marijuana as treatments for their ailments. What this means is that the Department of Justice may not use funds allocated to it to enforce the general prohibitions of marijuana as a Schedule I narcotic, as long as the target individuals are in compliance with their own state's laws. Since its passing, there have been a series of cases that culminated in a case called United States v. McIntosh. The United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit heard 10 cases challenging the federal prosecution of medical marijuana patients. These cases involve criminal defendants who were charged with violations of federal narcotics laws, while ostensibly in compliance with the laws of their respective states. On August 16, 2016, the court issued its decision. The court determined that federal law prohibits the prosecution of these cases when the defendants are otherwise in compliance with state law. McIntosh deals with a unique interplay of conflicting statutes and conflicting rules. The conflicting statutes are the Controlled Substances Act and the Continuing Appropriations Acts. The former prohibits the possession, sale, and use of marijuana in any form, while the latter prohibits the Department of Justice from interfering with state medical marijuana laws. Since McIntosh, courts have followed this precedent set in that case. The decision is far-reaching in its holding that enforcement of the Controlled Substances Act is stopped in the medical marijuana states when those who would be prosecuted are in compliance with their own state's laws. Medical marijuana businesses and patients are safe from prosecution only if they maintain compliance with their own state's medical marijuana laws. However, the McIntosh decision does not change the underlying prohibition of marijuana under federal law. It states, to be clear, the Consolidated Appropriations Act does not provide immunity from prosecution for federal marijuana offenses. The Controlled Substances Act prohibits the manufacture, distribution, and possession of marijuana. Anyone in any state who possesses, distributes, or manufactures marijuana for medical or recreational purposes is really committing a federal crime. Moreover, the federal government can prosecute such offenses for up to 5 years after they occur. Congress currently restricts the government from spending certain funds to prosecute those individuals, but Congress could, theoretically, restore funding tomorrow. Nor does any state law legalize possession, distribution, or manufacture of marijuana. Under the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution, state laws cannot permit what federal law prohibits. Thus, while the Controlled Substances Act remains in effect, states cannot actually authorize the manufacture, distribution, or possession of marijuana. Such activity remains prohibited by federal law. Several states have enacted medical marijuana laws that license organizations to grow and distribute cannabis products for limited medical purposes and license patients to purchase and consume them. The state and federal laws come into conflict in these cases. The current act only prohibits the funding of the Department of Justice to go after those in medical marijuana states who are in compliance. It does not change the underlying fact that these individuals are not in compliance with federal law. Appropriations Acts are temporary measures, and, as the court notes, the law could change tomorrow. It does not discuss recreational marijuana, which is still illegal after this decision. Only medical marijuana was permissible in that case. And even medical marijuana remains illegal under federal law and will remain so, but the Department of Justice may not enforce that law. President Trump nominated Jeff Sessions to be the next Attorney General of the United States, and Sessions was confirmed in February of 2017. As Attorney General, Jeff Sessions has the ability to change the priorities of the Department of Justice. Whether prosecution of medical marijuana clinics or patients is such a priority is still unknown. There have been no real guidance given by the Trump administration on their view, but we have some hints as to what these priorities may be. Attorney General Sessions has been on record over the course of his career as anti-marijuana. In April 2016, then Senator Sessions said that good people don't smoke marijuana. As recently as April 2017, Attorney General Sessions has made his antipathy towards marijuana known. In a speech in Arizona, he said, "When they nominated me for Attorney General, you would have thought the biggest issue in America was when I said I don't think America is going to be a better place if they sell marijuana at every corner grocery store. People didn't like that. I'm surprised they didn't like that." Still, there are other signs that the Trump administration will be more in favor of legalization of medical marijuana. In an interview with the Washington Post, then candidate Donald Trump said, "In terms of marijuana and legalization, I think it should be a state issue, state by state." In an interview with Fox News' Bill O'Reilly during the campaign, he said, "Medical marijuana. Medical? I'm in favor of it 100%. Ultimately, the policy is set by the president, and so there is reason for those who are in favor of legalization to be optimistic. The White House has not announced a new policy yet, but state legislators, businesses, physicians, and patients wait anxiously to see how this new administration will treat medical marijuana.